In this video, we'll see how to review warnings that occur when creating the model. We'll show how to highlight the objects involved in those warnings, and determine the severity of warnings and how we might go about resolving them. Let's start by opening the file Review Warnings. When we're creating a complex model, we often get warnings left within Revit. And to show how this might happen, I'll go to the Floor 4 plan view. Zooming into the stairs here, we need to add a fire break wall across the corridor here. So we'll choose some existing wall, and then from the modify ribbon we'll choose to create similar. We'll draw some wall across the corridor. And if I draw it just a little bit too long, then it starts to overlap with the wall above here, and we get a warning telling us that highlighted walls will overlap, and that one of those may be ignored when Revit finds room boundaries, and that we can use the cut geometry tool to embed one wall within another if appropriate. However, we can ignore this warning, we can dismiss it and carry on working, so we can go back to our architecture tab and continue to place our door within the corridor. And if we don't resolve that issue, then that warning stays with those objects. So every time we come back and pick one of these walls, from the modify ribbon, we can see we have the show related warnings option. When we select this, we can see that highlighted walls overlap error, and then the two walls that are involved in that, which we can pick and highlight. And in order to remove this warning from the project, we need to actually resolve it in the model. So if I select this wall and stretch it back so that it no longer overlaps and is in the correct position, when we reselect it, then that review warnings option will have disappeared because that warning is no longer persistent on these objects. As we edit the model and make changes to our design, it's inevitable that we will receive warnings and that they will persist within the model. So from the Manage ribbon tab on the Inquiry panel, we can choose Warnings, and we can see the warnings that are still current within the project. So we have several here, and expanding these out, we can see sometimes there's multiple versions of the same warning. So to review these from here, we can choose a specific warning and then use the Show button. We get a message to let us know that we can use our standard view commands whilst this dialog box is open, and that each time we press Show, it will go and find a view that's relevant to those objects, and each time we press it, we'll get a new view open. And also that we may need to change the shading mode to actually see those objects. So we'll choose Close, and now it's prompting us that it will need to go and search through the project browser to find a good view. So we'll say OK to continue. And we can see now that it's opened up the Floor 2 floor plan, which is where these rooms relate to. Expanding out Warning 1, we can see we have office number 13 and also office number 14. And it looks like a partition has been removed between the two offices, but the room has not been deleted and updated. We can choose Warning 2, and actually we can see that highlighted in the view. And we can use our zoom tools and pan tools, so we can just pan across and roll the mouse wheel to zoom out. And now we can see that we also have a lobby room and the open work area, and both of these are still overlapping. So from here we can actually choose to delete the rooms that we no longer need, so we can check the lobby room and check one of the offices. And then if we choose Delete Checked, those rooms will be deleted and the warnings box dismissed. However, we do get another warning telling us that we need to delete those rooms from the schedule, as they've been deleted from the model but not actually from the schedule. So we'll ignore this and deal with this later. And now when we go back to review the warnings, we can see the warnings about the rooms has now disappeared, as it's no longer a problem in the model. We have identical instances in the same place, so let's expand that out. Once again, we can see that we have two pieces of furniture. So let's choose Warning 2 and choose Show. And then when we close that down, it jumps to that furniture, which is actually also on floor 2. Choosing Warning 3, we can see that highlighted, and that's the desk opposite. So that's probably been created when we've been laying out the furniture and we've accidentally copied one desk on top of another. So once again, we can check two of these, and we won't delete those just yet. We'll review some of the other warnings. So scrolling down, we can see we have an insert conflicts with joined walls. So let's expand that one out. And actually we have quite a few of these. So really we would need to run through all of these to check the individual warning. But we'll choose one of these and then choose show. And we can see the window that's involved highlighted and the wall inside, but let's choose show once more. And this time it opens up another view. And we can see that now we're looking at a wall that meets a window. And that's actually okay. That's part of the design, and we'll resolve this when we detail how that junction works. Let's try another warning here. So warning 22. We see that actually there's a wall and a door involved in this one. So we'll choose this and then choose show. And then show once more. And now we can see on floor 3 here that this wall and door are conflicting, and we need to resolve this issue. So remembering that we've also got our furniture checked, we'll choose delete checked to get rid of those tables. And we're left now looking at the issue between this wall and the door, and we need to decide, should we move the door or move the wall? So in this instance, I'll choose the door and move that. And now when we select the wall, we can see this no longer has a related warning, and neither does the door. So going back to our warnings, we can see we still have a number of warnings here, and we need to determine if these warnings need resolving, or whether it's something that's just part of the model that we have to live with. And the only way we can do this is to select each one of these, and show and review that, and make a decision based on our own design as to whether that's acceptable or whether it needs fixing. If we're working with a larger design team, we can export the warnings out, and this will create a HTML file which will list out all of the warnings and the objects involved, which may help us discuss this in team meetings. So we'll close down the warnings, and that ends our video. And to recap, in this video we've seen how to review warnings that occur when creating the model. We've shown how to highlight the objects involved in those warnings, and help determine the severity of warnings and how we might go about resolving those.